don't pick that life picked you. Welcome to Sit Down News, and before I begin, I'd like to mention our sponsor. Ratchet is a clothing company from the UK started by a young man with a vision, a dream, and determination. They have various prints and styles for men, women, and children. I'll include a link to their website down below in the description for this video. So the opening scene has Tony Soprano, Paulie, and Pussy at a prostitution house. At some point, they run to Pussy's aid thinking he's having a heart attack, but it turns out he only pulled his back. Years ago, Patty, Butch, Louis Jet, and Danny wanted me to go to the Dominican Republic with them, but I took too long in getting my passport and never got to go. But like the Sopranos, they had a van of Dominican prostitutes delivered to their villa. Next, Pussy and Jimmy O'Terry get a surprise visit from the FBI who raided the pool hall. The agents find a hidden stash of weapons inside the pool table. Pussy makes a run for it out a back door only to be caught about a block away. It's never good to run in those situations. It makes matters worse and it's frowned upon. Just like I said, Pussy gets released and goes to see the guys. Junior Soprano's there and he tells them, "We don't run, it's embarrassing." Next, this Detective Markazian provides Tony Soprano with information that Pussy's wearing a wire, which is the worst news you can hear in that life. Tony Soprano demands the detective get him the 302s. 302s are forms that the agents use to document interviews. As an example, this is a copy of a page from John Jr. Gotti's 302s. At the Soprano open house party, Tony Soprano tells his crew to keep an eye on Pussy, but that's it. He doesn't tell them what he heard. Paulie explains Pussy and him have the same doctor and that the doctor told him there was nothing wrong with Pussy's back. Obviously, Tony Soprano's having a difficult time dealing with all of this. At therapy, he questions Dr. Melfi, asking can a physical condition be caused by mental problems. He questions her, what kind of mental stuff would cause a backache? She explains common causes would include a heavy mind and someone who's dealing with secrets. Tony Soprano meets with the detective again. He's pressuring him for the 302s. Word of mouth is not enough for him. He wants proof. Luckily for Pussy, he's not dealing with the Lucchese family. Someone puts a label on you and you're considered a rat with no proof. Tony Soprano pays a visit to Pussy at his house. He's trying to read him, and at one point, he reassures him he's not alone and has friends. He then goes to meet with Paulie and finally tells him everything that's going on. Paulie volunteers to handle Pussy. Tony tells him to start investigating, but he warns him, we need to be 110%. He tells him, I want you to see that fucking wire strapped on his body. After watching Pussy, Paulie pulls his car next to him and beeps his Godfather-themed horn. No member of that life has that kind of horn in their car. Paulie takes him to a Russian bathhouse. He wants to see if he hesitates to undress. Sure enough, Pussy gives him excuses why he can't undress and go in. Silvio tells Tony the detective owes Pussy $30,000 for football and loan shark money. Now Tony's wondering if the detective's trying to get Pussy killed because he owes him that kind of money. The detective gets busted at a raid at the prostitution house. As soon as he's released, he jumps off a bridge and commits suicide. Junior meets with Livy at the retirement home. She tells him Tony's been having secret meetings with the captains in the family and with other families at the home. Naturally, Junior sees this as a plot against him. This episode is shining a light on the treachery that goes on a daily basis in that life. Jimmy Altieri gets released from custody and goes to see Tony. You could see he's visibly uncomfortable with the conversation and thinks Jimmy is trying to set him up. I remember going to meet a guy at Dunkin' Donuts who wanted me to go collect money for him. In the conversation, he turned around from the money and started talking about drugs. I remember I got up, I didn't say a word, and I walked right out of the place. After seeing Jimmy, Tony goes to meet with Silvio. He tells him he thinks it's Jimmy who's wearing the wire, not Pussy. Paulie shows up, and Tony questions if he did anything to Pussy. Paulie answers him no, and Tony slams him up against file cabinets, and Paulie again tells him that he didn't do anything to him, and then says, now get your fucking hands off me. Finally, Tony calms down and tells him, the rat, it's fucking Jimmy. Tony Soprano is never supposed to put his hands on Paulie. In that life, you don't put your hands on another friend. In the final scene, Mikey Palmisi receives word that Junior's looking to make a move on Tony. He feels this will bump him into a captain's position and seems very happy with the news. As I mentioned in my blog, labeling someone a rat is wrong. Without proof, you're putting that person's life on the line. Yet, this happens all the time. I admired the Tony Soprano character because although he obviously was struggling with the thought of it, he had to be absolutely sure. And that's the way to handle a matter like that, and that's the way it should be handled. Hope you enjoyed the story. If you would like to subscribe to this channel, you could do so down below. If you would like to subscribe to my other channel, Unlimited Substance Podcast, I'll add a link in the description for this video.